And then, guys, welcome back to the Cycles Sunday podcast. I am joined by the Bowker brothers. Paul and Richard this evening are joining me live from Criterium Cycles. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Epic. Thank you, Mr. Greaves. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad, actually. Very tired. I've been doing lots of things. Massive apologies. We missed the podcast again last week. However, we did have a plan. The plan just wasn't feasible. So I took all my podcasting stuff with me and I thought, this is no problem. It's a driving tour. I was doing the Highland. Well, actually, I did pop in to say hello with a whole bunch of supercars, but sadly, we popped in on your day off, and the store was closed.
Yes.
So I did get really excited because I thought I was actually going to get to see my my rail, but then realised that the store was closed. But
In fairness, we had communicated through the morning, and I said I
I
was at home
I
editing our
know,
new
I know,
videos.
I know, I know. I just didn't put two and two together because I was driving a fast car.
Okay.
So anyway, I did take my stuff with me. I didn't realize, however, that the driving tour would be wheels rolling at 9 o'clock in the morning and not getting back to the hotel till most days 6:30, and then it was straight to a shower, straight to dinner for 7:30. So there was just no time to record the podcast last week, which is unfortunate.
That's between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., isn't it? Absolutely. Where
We
we're working.
did try and record a podcast in advance of last week, but
We did.
unfortunately had some technical issues. We had to actually abandon that one about
Oh,
5 minutes in, which was
yes.
annoying because we had the lovely Natalie joining us.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about the subject anyway.
Yes.
Are we not?
We are.
But before we do that, we've
Yes.
had a little bit of acknowledgement of the Cycle Sunday podcast today.
I know. Who knew?
Well, Feedsprout did.
Yes.
Sorry, Feedblock. I've got it wrong again, haven't I?
Let Richard do this.
I think it's FeedSpot.
FeedSpot.
That's the one. I know you
Yes.
said Feedsprout. So we have been placed in the top 20 cycling podcasts that you should listen to. And we're actually number 11.
Yeah. In fact, hang on.
It's
There we go.
brilliant. So I was really, really pleased. So it just means that, somebody is listening and someone does think what we're doing is great. So
I was
I'm
slightly
well chuffed
concerned,
with
though.
that.
It said on FeedSpot that it was ranked by social media followers, content, and freshness.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Well, we're
so
fresh.
maybe
We're
we're
fresh.
fresh. We're
Every-
fresh and we're down with the kids.
We are. Everything's new.
Yeah.
Everything's
Yeah.
updated.
Paul says shredding gnar every now and again,
I
and
was gonna
that's
say,
got to get us in with the
what's
youth.
the average age on this? Anyway, we better not go there.
So anyway, it's really cool to I mean it's and actually to be ahead of some bigger podcasts with some more famous people on was quite cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess ultimately, thank you to all of our listeners.
Yeah. And if you are listening and
Yeah.
you haven't given us a rating on Apple Podcasts or subscribe to the YouTube channel, then please do so, because the more people that listen, the more we can kind of get the kind of following to grow, and all things are good.
Let's be your number one cycling related podcast.
That sounds like some kind of intro to a Claire Rayner novel.
Nice.
Yeah, yes, very good. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, actually, you two gentlemen are very branded up with your lovely Criterium hoodies, which I actually think look really, really smart, by the way.
Would you like one?
Well, I always like a hoodie. I get loads of comments when I'm wearing my Bianchi hoodie, which is my favourite item of clothing. And I have actually been told on a number of occasions to wear something else because I hardly ever take it off. But yeah, so we're going to talk about clothing.
Yes.
Because, a couple of reasons. Because you guys, was it last week you launched your new range of cycle clothing, which I have to say looks ace. Really, really smart.
We're really pleased. In fact, Richard, you talk about that.
Yeah, we are very pleased with it. We had it. It's a clothing range that Bontrager Custom Clothing do. So it's in association with Bontrager. It's actually manufactured by Santini, which is a very sort of famous Italian brand. We designed it together, but that's probably slightly overstating it. A really, really good Italian designer did it, and we said we'd like something retro, but that
Yeah.
would not date, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he's
Yeah.
absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
It comes in it's sort of modern and retro, if that's possible.
Yeah.
It comes in a couple of colorways. So there's like a nice charcoal color, and then there's our sort of orange. And we've got jersey, short sleeve jerseys, bib shorts, windshell jacket, and a gilet.
Yep.
And I've got to say, the quality of it is has blown us away. Really, it is really good.
Yeah.
You sort of mesh panels, reflective strips, secret zips. Sort of it's really terrific. So yeah,
Really cool.
it's now available.
It is.
Yes.
And I think also, and we'll come on to this as well, it is in what's called semi-fitted. So you get sort of, yeah, so you, and we'll talk about this, we'll unpack this more because you do want to have something that you zip yourself into. You don't want something that is going to be really baggy, particularly on a road or a gravel bike, but it is sized for normal people.
So it's not like a skin suit.
No, not at all.
No.
No.
Because this was the catalyst for what we wanted to talk about on this podcast. Because when I think and I think it's fair to say there are people who view cycling with a bit of kind of trepidation because they think that they have to wear all the gear and they're not sure about wearing Lycra and tight fitting clothing. And what we wanted to kind of talk about to start with, I guess, is why cycle clothing is designed the way it is. You've just talked about it being kind of, you zip yourself into it and it's relatively, well, yours isn't tight fitting, but it's generally kind of hugs the skin and it's not baggy and it doesn't flap around.
Yeah.
And there's a really good reason for that, right?
Yeah, very much so. So as speed starts to increase on a bike, you as too does the wind flow going across your bike and ultimately your clothing. And if you're wearing something, particularly on a road bike, that is baggy, what will happen is it will just balloon up. So you don't want it to balloon up. That's number one. And the second thing as well, there is nothing more annoying than a bit of fabric beating itself against your chest. It's horrible, and it actually starts to become really irritating and quite sore after a while. So that's the reason why we having something that is relatively fitted works so well. But also, Lycra is one of those products that is incredibly comfortable all day. It wicks incredibly well. It's a product that is able to stitch, particularly into the bib short, stitch the pad into there, and it sit nicely. But also, it's a product that allows you to have the range of motion to go all the way across the top of the pedal stroke, all the way down to the base of the pedal stroke, and then back up again without it ever rucking up and being uncomfortable. And I took a walk. I just had 3 days away with Rosie, just that weekend just gone, and Rosie and I just decided to go for a little bit of a walk. And I had a pair of shorts that didn't have a four-way stretch to it, so it wouldn't stretch around the leg and up and down the leg. And we had to go up some relatively steep steps on this particular walk. And really quickly, I started to feel the material starting to cut into the top of my thigh. And it reminded me very, very clearly why we wear what we wear on a bicycle.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because I think I think people maybe it's a self-conscious thing. They're worried about what they're going to look like, and I guess maybe we could also talk about there's this kind of conflict, if you like, between road cyclists and mountain bikers, and then the gravel bikers kind of sit somewhere in the middle, I guess. So if we do road biking first, because let's face it, we're all cyclists, right? Nobody, and this is nobody, looks good in a pair of bib shorts.
No.
It just doesn't happen. You even if you kind of ripped and you've got a six pack and everything, you just put your bib shorts on as quickly as possible where nobody can see you, and then put a jersey over the top.
Yeah. I mean, even after a six pack, I look. I know I look a mess in a bib short.
No, you're talking 6-pack of beer. I'm talking ripped athlete 6-pack.
Oh yeah, yeah. I used to have one of those, and now I've got a keg.
But let's just talk bib shorts briefly, because my first ever pair of cycling shorts that I bought were just a pair of They didn't have the kind of and again, the cyclists listening to this will know what bib shorts are straight away. But if people don't or aren't aware, they basically are a pair of shorts,
Yep.
and they're almost like kind of lycra dungarees. Really, they go up your torso and then have straps that go over your shoulders. And the reason that they do that is so that one, they kind of stay up, but they you don't have that waistband
Yep.
around your tummy that can become uncomfortable on a longer ride.
Correct.
And that's the first thing I found when I went to a proper pair of bib shorts. It was just so much more comfortable.
Yep.
And then I guess the other thing that's in the bib shorts is the pad.
Yep.
And I know we still often call it a chamois, because in the old days it was made out of chamois leather. Nowadays there's lots of different man-made materials that it can be made
Yep.
of. But again, that's to protect your bits, right? Whether you're male or female, and you've got, I guess, very different pads for male and female riders.
Yes.
But having a really good quality chamois in your shorts is super important as well, because I can remember buying a cheap pair of cycling shorts, and they're just so uncomfortable. You can literally within half an hour and realize you've made a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, interestingly, well, probably not interestingly, it's a little bit more whole nerdy thing going off.
It's unusual for you.
I know, but I soon discovered the value in around 150 quid bib shorts. And what I do now is I get a pair of those shorts for Christmas every year. And just in the label, I write the year. So clearly when I get some for Christmas this year, it'll just have 21 written in it.
Yeah.
And that brand new pair of bib shorts for that first 12 months will be my 7 to 10 hour bib shorts. So if I'm doing a 100-mile ride, I'll wear that pair of bib shorts. The one that's then a year old is my sort of 5 to 7 hours. So if I'm doing a 60 to 80-mile ride, I'll use that. And then 3 years old. And then at 4 years old, that will then become my turbo pair of shorts. So I'll just literally have that for an hour and a half. Because the thing is, a 4-year-old, and after 4 years, I just throw them in the bin. And the thing is a 4-year-old pair of 150 quid bib shorts will always be more comfortable than a brand new pair of 40 quid bib shorts. And I learned that the hard way, as in like blood and major discomfort on a long ride. You know, that's how bad it can be. So, you know, it's one of those things, you gulp at the price, but just do it. It really does make a difference.
For me, it's almost the same kind of conversation as tires on a performance car. You know, it's the only thing that's connecting you to the bike, and it's the bit around your most sensitive region.
Yes.
And all I can say is there's probably more people listening to this that may well have done some like a fun run or a half marathon and had jogger's nipple, which is where your vest rubs against your nipple, and that's I've had that, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
Imagine that downstairs. That's all I need to say. Anyway, moving on. But that so yeah, it's not we don't wear this kit for, you know, to try and look like you know, a Tour de France rider. It's worn because it does a really, really good job, and it makes you comfy on a bike.
Well, they've got
the other
technical aspects, haven't they? I mean, you mentioned there about running. I do quite a lot. Well, I did do quite a lot of running, and you know, I tend to use. I don't wear shorts when I'm running. I tend to use skins, you know, sort of compression fabrics, because they make a difference. They make a difference to muscle fatigue, and certainly make a big difference to recovery. So these things are like they're designed for a reason, and it's a good reason.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can remember I was a few years ago now, digressing onto a different sport, but tennis. When Andy Murray signed up with Under Armour, because he'd kind of left his previous brand, and he was at a press conference, and someone mentioned, you know, "Oh, you've changed your brand," and he just said, "Look," he said, "I don't normally overtly do this, but my game has improved because of the compression layers I'm wearing from Under Armour, because they are that good." And I guess, when you're thinking about really long rides, it's probably less of a problem if you're going out for an hour or an hour and a half. But if you're going out for a long ride, if you get uncomfortable on a bike because your clothing doesn't fit or because it's rubbing, that uncomfortable feet that exacerbates fantastically quickly,
Yeah.
and you can be in a world of hurt
Yes.
really, really soon. And then if you get something like rain, or if you over sweat because you're not your clothing isn't wicking properly and getting rid of your your sweat, it's a horrible place
Yeah.
to be. You only ever go there once, generally. The
Or
other thing,
people don't realise what a difference good quality clothing will make, and then they go, cycling isn't for me, and that's the travesty,
yeah,
really, because I don't think it's spoken enough. If you buy a cheap waterproof, let's be old school here. You go riding in a cagoule, right? The equivalent of,
yeah,
you might as well just be in a bin
yeah,
liner, because there is, yeah, okay,
yeah,
it might stop the water permeating from the outside in, but it will not allow the moisture that you are generating to be able to evaporate outside, from the inside out.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I will much rather talk to people generally about windproof products rather than waterproof products. Because let's
yeah.
face it, the reason, and I say this quite a lot to customers when we talk about waterproof products, because they go, oh, we live in Scotland, it's always raining. And you go, actually, it's not. When you're hiking, you're hiking at maybe, I don't know, how fast do you hike at? Sort of 3 to 5 mile an hour, something like that.
Oh no,
Not
no,
two,
two,
two to
three.
three.
A fast walk on flat grounds, typically three
There we
miles
go.
an
Right.
hour.
So let's call a hike in a hill at maybe 1 to 3 miles an hour. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, if you've got a slow moving rain cloud above you, yes, you are going to get saturated by that rain cloud because you're not moving across the ground that quickly. But when you're riding, and you're riding at maybe an average of 15.5 to 17 miles an hour, you are hopping between rain clouds relatively often. So what
mm,
you're looking for on a bike is actually something that will withstand a short, sharp shower, but then when it stops raining, will evaporate that water relatively quickly. And that is where
mm,
windproof garments are, for me, significantly more efficient than a waterproof product. But then you
mm,
also have incredibly light, incredibly technical waterproofs now that are there for when that rain cloud is just above you all day. I mean, we've all had those rides, right?
yeah,
But if I think about all the rides I've done over the last 8 to 10 years, I can probably count on half of one hand where I've ridden all day in the rain.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, because if it's raining, I don't go out.
If it's two blobs on the Met Office, we're not going out.
Yeah, I check me weather app. The other thing, and I guess as you get into cycling, I certainly learn what works for me, and I know Paul and I, we've had a chat about the fact that you're a bit of a thermal guy. You get very hot
Yeah,
on a bike and
yeah,
sweat a lot. My the One of the things I'll always go for when it comes into the winter is lots of layers, so you can kind of take stuff off. Um, and put them back on again. The dangers for me, or the areas where I like going up mountains or
yeah,
climbing hills. So on the way up, you're expending a lot of energy. You get very
yes,
hot. So I always like a jersey, for example, that will completely unzip, rather than one that just unzips like maybe the top 4 or 5 inches, because you can unzip it and get all your temperature out if you need to. But then when you get to the top and you come down the other side, it can be incredibly cold. So that's when a gilet comes on, is really useful. And I might even, if I'm in really high mountains, I'll take a pair of removable arm or
yes,
sleeves, so that you can kind of mix and match
yeah,
and stuff. And you watch the pros, and they'll have people handing them bits of
Yeah.
newspaper at the top of the
yes,
hill to stick up the front of their jerseys, won't they? Just again, it's that
yes,
windproofing. But so I often find in the winter, although I've got big, thick or thicker jackets, I'll often go out with a base layer, a jersey, a gilet, and some arms, and then I've got the ability to kind of remove things as and when I
yeah.
need to, and stick things in my back pockets and
Yeah,
stuff.
Because what did you
Uh,
had some nice kit on when you did Velo Birmingham, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a really cool Canadian brand called Seven Mesh. That
oh,
the guys who set that up, it's a fantastic brand. They're based in a place called Squamish, just north of Vancouver in BC. I've been lucky enough to go out there. Actually, it's just south. It's between Vancouver and Whistler if you're into your winter sports. And the guys that set it up, there were ex Arc'teryx crew, and I think they decided that it just
ah,
wasn't technical enough. So they'd set this business up called
wow,
Seven Mesh, and you can check it out. It's a fantastic brand. It is available in the UK now, and yeah, that was
yeah,
really good. That was fantastic. But you do see this temperature management, this core temperature management issue is really key. I mean, I know we're jumping around sports a bit. This is a cycling podcast, but something I did a few years ago was a run that was incredibly cold, incredibly wet, and involved a hill in the middle. And so quite a lot of people ended up walking parts of that hill, got to the top, and then of course it was a descent all the way down towards the finish. But their core temperature dropped so significantly, they never got it back,
Mm.
and there were an awful lot
yeah,
of people, couldn't then put more layers on because actually we're already had loads of layers on, and there were quite a few cases of sort of significant temperature problems. It's hypothermia. So, because once that core drops, it's actually very
mm,
difficult to get it back up again.
Mm.
So, clothing
yeah.
management and the layering approach, which Paul is very sort of expert on, really, is absolutely key.
And even little things like if you have to have a stop, you've got a flat, or you need to do, for me, even if when I get off the bike to fix a puncture, even if I'm not cold at that
Yeah.
point, I'll often
Amen
put a
to that.
layer on just so
Yes.
that I don't get
Yeah.
cold, because the problem is it's a bit like
Yes.
dehydration. By the time you feel you're thirsty,
Yeah.
it's too late. By the time you
Yeah.
feel you're cold,
Yes.
it's too late. You kind of
Yeah.
need to
Totally.
manage that.
Totally to
What's
Richard's
your
point.
thoughts?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you got a gilet in your back pocket and you stop for a puncture, irrespective, quite right, Peter, irrespective of how warm you feel at that moment in time, get that layer on.
Yeah.
Defo.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are, because I don't think we've ever talked about this together. In the winter, so from probably around about this
Yeah.
time of year, I always wear long
Yes.
tights rather than shorts. I'd never have bare legs. Someone told me 8 years ago. They just said it's really bad for your legs to have them being cold, even because they don't
Mm.
feel cold, but it's not great for your muscles. So I'll always ride in full length tights, which is another fashion challenge, because you do look like I look like some kind of wading bird basically. But it I would own, and so always wear long tights, and I always wear overshoes because my feet tend to get
Yes.
really cold.
Gore-Tex
Um,
Gore-Tex boots. The
yeah,
best bit of money you'll ever spend if you ride in the winter. The amount of people who go, "Oh, I'm not spending that. I'm not spending 190 quid or 250 quid on a pair of Gore-Tex shoes. I'll only use them a few times a year." Yeah, well, I've got a pair of Gore-Tex shoes that you're absolutely right. You only wear them a few times a year, and I bought them in 2012, and they're still
yeah,
going strong today, right? Because I bought a good quality
yeah,
pair. So yeah, they're flipping expensive and you don't wear them that much. But as a result, as
yeah,
long as you wipe the salt off them and keep them nice and clean, they will last 10 to 12 years if they're a good quality brand.
yeah,
And my goodness, when you
yeah.
put those on, oh, they're just wonderful.
Because the other thing is, summer cycling shoes often have holes underneath them, don't they? So
Well, they
if
have holes everywhere because they're
yeah,
designed
yeah,
to ride in the Alps.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So you
Yeah,
wear those, and even if you wear overshoes, you're like, hold on, my feet are wet. What's
yeah,
going on?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think it's one of those things. The more you get into your riding, I think clothing wise, and actually, it's a bit like N+1 with bikes. It's just one of the things I love about going into a bike shop. Actually, is looking at cycling clothing and
Yeah.
buying new stuff.
But
Yeah.
but it
And
is the case though. You get what you pay for,
Yes.
yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah,
I think sometimes with bikes, most of them are better. Well, they're certainly better than me. But when it
yeah,
comes to clothing and all apparel and equipment, you absolutely get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a truism.
Yeah. And it was always a joke. Keith, who's who's been with us for a long time, but he's been commuting on bikes for probably 2 decades, I would imagine. And it was always the joke in winter when Keith would actually turn up for work wearing 4 times the value of his bike in his riding clothing. So he got this absolutely knackered commuter bike and he was wearing just the best of everything. But he never missed a day riding his bike. It,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. But I think so. I honestly, if for those people out there that are I don't know, I don't know whether embarrassed is the right word, but maybe some people are embarrassed to kind of put your lycra on, and I know there's the whole mamil thing, the middle-aged man in lycra thing.
yeah.
But like any sport, buying the right gear is super important.
Yeah.
How about the mountain biking thing?
Well,
Okay, so
just before we move on to mountain biking,
yeah,
because for our lady listeners out
yes,
there, don't worry, the cycle industry has listened. So many females have been put off for years and years and years with bib shorts because the actual act of going to the toilet to relieve
yes.
oneself is utterly impossible because you almost have to derobe your entire upper body in order to get the straps over. Well, for years, companies like Gore and Bontrager and Hock and lots of other manufacturers have developed bib shorts that are have got various aids in order to be able to bring the short part down whilst leaving the bib still in place.
Yeah.
So, and various manufacturers call it various different things. The best one is Bontrager's pull to pee system. Um,
Amazing.
it's fantastic. So, when Rosie got her first pair of these, it was just like heaven sent. So, ladies, you don't have to wear, as Peter's already said, you don't have to wear a yoga top, short or tight, that is then uncomfortable around the tummy. You
Yeah.
can wear a really nice quality pair of bib shorts and still not be inconvenienced when nature calls.
Yeah. And actually, it's not just the ladies, because what guarantees, I will guarantee this every time, I'll basically get all my cycling gear on and I'll just about to leave the house and I think, oh, I just need to go for a wee. And then I have to take it all off again. so, so, yes, it's not just the ladies
No,
that have that problem as well.
yeah, yeah, no, it's true. So there we go.
And also, I have to say that some of the female cycle clothing is really lovely.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
gorgeous. Yeah, yeah,
I can remember I was on I think it was the Etap Cymru.
yeah.
I had this very very athletic, beautiful young lady cycling her bike in front of me in this Rafa cycling gear, and believe me, that got me through the last 15 miles. It just distracted me enough. It was fantastic.
I think
Yeah,
Richard
yeah.
had a similar thing doing his fastest half marathon, wasn't it, on the Monsell Trail?
Well, I ran with this a runner. She was absolutely terrific. She's also brilliant company. We didn't really say very much, but we just sort of, like sometimes when you do something, you find a bit of a sort of soul buddy for the event.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we were sort of each other's sort of soul buddy. She won the women's race actually, and she was
Oh wow.
absolutely super. Yeah, she was superb. And it was one of those when I was sort of flagging a bit, she sort of kept going, and we did it vice versa. And I have to say, it did allow me to run my fastest ever half marathon. But that was mainly because she was just really good, and it was just nice running with someone.
You
So
did.
yeah.
You didn't want to disappear and leave you behind.
Well, no, I definitely didn't. But no, it was a great run. Yeah,
yeah.
But no, I think there's some really really nice stylish stuff. So, and I know it was funny when Tracy when we got her first bike, she was going out in just normal shorts and things, and I said, "Look, I'm gonna go and buy you some cycling stuff." And she went, "I don't need that. I'm not going very far anyway." I bought her a really nice pair of cycling shorts and a really nice top.
Yeah.
And it was oh my god, it was like transformational basically. So because she used to take the mickey out of me when I dressed up like Bradley Wiggins, and then suddenly she's there in her gear as well. So that's road cycling.
Yes.
I guess the mountain bike clothing is different in terms of you tend to find it's a bit more baggy. There's more pockets and zips and stuff, but it's still designed for someone riding a mountain bike.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. In fact, did you see the Instagram post that we put up? I put it on stories, and Rosie was wearing some of her new POC and Bontrager stuff, and I think I got her to pose in the car park, much to her displeasure, but I think she pulled it off quite well. And she's just got these new. They're not 3/4; they're just sort of over knee length baggy shorts. So they're designed to work with knee pads as well. But they're baggy in the fact that they're not fitted Lycra, but they're almost like a semi-fitted baggy. So
right, okay.
And she reported as well, because they've got this incredibly soft feeling 4-way stretch that, I mean, we were out on the bike for that's part of sort of 2.5, 3 hours on that particular day, and all day she was happy, and she wore those baggies over her Lycra bib shorts that she would normally road ride in. And the reason why generally we wear baggies is they're slightly harder wearing. So when you're mountain biking, you're picking up a lot of trail grit and stone and mud and that sort of stuff, and that will wear the non-elastic side of Lycra, so the actual cloth side of Lycra, quite quickly. So, and if you've got an expensive pair of bib shorts, you kind of almost use the baggy short over the top to protect the bib short. And the other thing is you're slightly more dynamic on a mountain bike as well. So you're a lot less sat in one position for mile after mile after mile. You're a lot more dynamic, and you're throwing the bike around. So things have to be a little bit less constricted in mountain bike clothing.
Yeah, I guess you brush past nettles and
I was going to say,
thorns.
you're more dynamic. I'm usually sort of broadly terrified, and watching my 14-year-old son disappear into the distance. that's
while you push your bike up the hill.
Well, e-bike's the way. The only way I think I'll ever keep up with him now is actually on the.
It's the only way I can ever keep up with him. Flipping out, Peter, you don't want to ride with young Charlie. My goodness. Oh, he's wonderful.
Bit of an animal on a bike.
Oh, he's wonderful. He's a delight to watch. Which of course you get a lot of time to do because you're never in front of him.
Well,
yeah. But I think the whole, I mean, I know there's like a fashion difference between road and mountain bike, with the baggy clothes, and there's, I guess there's some elements of the mountain bike culture frown on road bikers and vice versa. I mean, you can wear road bike clothing when you go out mountain biking if you wanted to. There's nothing wrong with that, and you could probably do it the other way around.
Yeah, well, sorry, just to cut across
and when you're on a gravel bike, interestingly, I tend to wear my road stuff on the gravel bike, not my mountain bike stuff.
Yes, and that's precisely what I do if I'm on a big day. So I've done Glentress 7, which is a 7-hour endurance mountain bike race. I've done 10 Under the Ben, which is 10-hour endurance event, and also I've done a few times now Tour de Ben Nevis, which is a 67-kilometer loop around the circumnavigating Ben Nevis, and I've done that a few times. And for that, I will always wear Lycra, so I'll wear road kit on that type of ride. Again, it's all day comfort. That's why. If I'm just literally
Yeah.
knocking around the woods and doing a lap of a red route, then I'll just put mountain bike kit on, and it's just
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. The other thing I wear on a mountain bike, which I wouldn't dream of wearing on a road bike, is a backpack with a camelback
Yeah,
in it.
yeah, makes sense.
Rather than, I mean, I can put bottles on my mountain bike,
Yep.
but I tend to wear a camelback just because, again, I guess you're banging around and they might fall off, and it's just a bit easier.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's also about your
Um,
posture position as well. So on a
yeah,
mountain bike, you're more what we call posture 4. So if you imagine posture 5 is effectively a vertical torso. So imagine like a Dutch bike, a shopping trolley
yeah,
type thing. That would be a posture 5 riding position. And now imagine, Wiggins on his TT bike, sort of hunkered
yeah,
down in his skin suit. That's posture 1, right?
yeah,
So effectively, and we spoke about this in the first episode of Cycle Sunday when we were talking about the frame. So effectively, you've got posture 5, which is your vertical torso, usually on a hybrid bike, and what I would classify as an enduro trail style mountain bike, you're in posture 5. So, sorry, in posture 4. So your torso slightly further over the front, but you've still got quite a lot of weight going through the pelvis. When you're on a slightly more cross country mountain bike, so you're a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more racy, or an endurance road bike, you tend to be in around posture 3. And then on the sort of bike that we're building in the Bianchi, for you and Richard, you'll be in a posture
posture
no
0.
posture 2, posture 0. Flipping out, yeah, you
That'd be like Graham Aubrey,
yeah, you'll be steering
Superman.
steering with your teeth.
I have to say, at 55, I think my days of posture 2 are. You flatter me, right? We'll discuss that another time.
Oh dear.
So yeah, so
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 yeah,
so the thing is, if you are in a posture 2 or posture 3 riding position, so a relatively aggressive riding position with a backpack on, you've now got
mm,
much more weight on your spine. Whereas in a posture
yeah,
4
yeah,
riding position, it can sit more on the hips as opposed to on the spine. So that's
yeah,
generally the reason why you'd move from a backpack onto a bottle system.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, it's cool. It's one of those things, we're ever learning, aren't we, in terms of what kit
Yeah,
to wear. And then I guess the last thing is gloves, and I guess gloves are a very personal thing. I know some people who just don't wear them because they don't like
yeah.
them. Personally, I can't get on a bike without them, whether they're like mitts or full fingers in the winter. I kind of it's maybe because I fall off a lot. You kind of or have fallen off and taking your hand down the
Mm.
road. Then I always want a pair of gloves. But again, it's one of those things. Good gloves though, not cheapy ones, because you know you can
Yeah.
have quite painful hands and stuff if they're not
You're a
nice.
glove wearer, Rich.
Yeah, I don't know whether this is a sort of a getting a bit older thing, but if I if I run, once once the temperature goes on below about 25 degrees C, I'm a glove wearer. In both cases, yeah. I was fascinated watching. I don't know if you saw the Paris-Roubaix Femme race that Lizzie Deignan won so superbly on a
On a
track.
Trek de Marne.
On a track, yeah.
Yep.
But if you haven't seen that race, it is worth watching just for extraordinary bike handling skills in
Yep.
the most appalling conditions. She doesn't wear gloves,
No.
and there's a photograph at the end of the race of the drops on the bike, and they're literally covered in blood. Just because she's obviously having to hold the bar so tight, to control the bike. And he just thought, goodness me, I mean, that must have been pretty painful. And that's another reason why I have always worn gloves. I don't like the sort of the friction and the rubbing on the hand as well. But it's for me, it's
No.
mainly a temperature issue again.
Mm.
Yeah. Having ridden the Pave of Paris
Mm.
Roubaix, it's just bloody painful. The first like 40k or so, you're like, this is just the best thing ever, and then it starts to hurt, and by the end of it, by the last couple of sections of Pave, I was literally crying and
Oh,
screaming, and it's not it's your bingo wings that get you
really?
underneath your arms. Oh, mate, the pain there is
Wow.
unbelievable. Yeah, it's just an attrition thing throughout the day. And let's not even go near your bum and your kind of your saddle pad and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. It's so, and they're going twice the speed
Well,
we
did
were.
you watch it? Did you
Although
watch it
actually, the
this year?
faster you go, the better. No,
Because
I didn't. I
it,
wasn't
it,
able to. I wasn't
it
around.
wasn't. It was everything you described plus the worst weather. So the rain was extraordinary, the mud was extraordinary, and some of these, riders were caked in it at the end.
Yeah.
And then for her, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
she did a solo break, and then she's got Marianne Voss, who's pretty handy on a bike, sort of chasing her down in the last, sort of 20K
yeah.
to go.
I need to
It
have a
is
look at
it
some of that
is
on bounce on
it is
YouTube or something.
a superb performance by her. I mean, absolutely brilliant.
Pave is horrible anyway, but wet Pave
Yeah,
is just
leaf
it's
ice.
unbelievable. I mean, yeah, when I went out there, because I found some cobbles near my house and did a bit of practice on there. And we went out the night before the race. We went out and rode out and found some Pave just to get the bike set up and stuff. And I went along this stretch that was maybe, I don't know, 500 meters long. And I just got to the end and went, what have I done? this is going to be, but it was the best day on a bike I've ever had. But it was the best day because it was the hardest day. But then you watch the top people, and they are unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable. So we're gonna kind of the last part of the podcast before we talk about what's happening next weekend, which is very
Yes.
very exciting, is so should you wear a bike helmet or not?
Nah.
Because there is, I mean, you watch old what's his face, Chris
Yeah.
Boardman, and he's kind of like, he's not that fussed about it, is he? He kind of says there's research that says it doesn't really do anything, and I think I
Yeah.
don't care. You must be mad if you get on a bike
Yeah.
without a helmet
There are
on.
two things that I will not do when riding a bicycle. Number one is I will always wear a helmet without
Yep,
fail. And if I
yep,
forget, and this has happened, if I start riding out and I've forgotten my helmet, it is the one thing that I will turn back, even if I'm a mile down the road.
yeah,
I'll turn
yeah,
back and go and get my helmet. If I've forgotten snacks and if I've forgotten one of my water bottles, I'll chance it. So there'll be a house that I can knock on the door. I can fill up a water bottle. I'll never go out with my helmet. And recently, in the last 4 or 5 years, I now will not ride without daytime running lights. So I always have lights on my
yeah.
bike, blinking away, even if it's
Mm,
in bright sunlight. Those are the two
yeah.
absolute givens when I'm riding a bike.
I see people on bikes that don't have a helmet on, and I just think
Mm.
you're an idiot. Basically, I can't understand why you wouldn't do. And I guess anyone who's had an accident, fallen off the bike, bang the head, you don't have to fall very far. You bang your head, and you can be in a world of hurts. It's just it doesn't make any sense to me not
Mm.
to wear one. But the reason I brought it up is because you guys have just on your YouTube channel released a whole bunch of videos around buying helmets in terms of getting the right size and the technology, because they are a minefield of technology. You think
Yeah,
it's just a skid lid that's going to protect your noggin if you fall
yeah,
off, but there's a whole I mean, we could probably do a whole podcast just on bike helmets. In fact, probably more than
yeah,
one, to
yeah,
be honest.
yeah. And when
Um,
it just with regards to our YouTube channel, just so nobody thinks that we're setting up a YouTube channel and it's not Cycle Sunday, but Cycle Sunday and our YouTube channel are sort of mutually cohabiting. So what we're basically doing is Cycle Sunday is what we do with Peter, and that is very magaziney and it's really entertaining and it's the real sort of high level stuff, sort of getting people really sort of into cycling and just all the fun and exciting stuff about cycling. But then what we wanted to do, and Peter and I had discussed it, was set up a Criterium Cycles YouTube channel that was a little bit more sort of gritty and nerdy and giving people more real buying information, so you can buy with confidence from our
Yeah.
website and what have you. So nobody worry that Cycle Sunday is going to be disappearing.
Oh,
But yeah,
yeah.
do go on to the Criterium Cycles YouTube channel. Do subscribe and like. And yeah, you're right. We've just done a 5-part, and actually, thanks to Peter again, there's going to be a 6th part to it as well. That I just need to shoot and film. But it's a 5-part sort of introduction to helmets, sort of how to get the best sizing, what the difference is between mountain bike, road bike helmets, leisure helmets, the differences between the technologies, and also the differences between the price points. What do you actually get for the money? And the 6th element, which we now need to film and add to it, which was Peter's idea, so well done him. We'll sign over the rights to that one. Is actually what happens if
I'll
you
get the
do
ad revenue
fall
from that
off.
one.
Should you
Mm.
immediately replace your helmet? And spoiler alert, yes.
Yeah, because they're a one-hit
Yeah.
pony, right? The way that I mean, I know there's lots of different technologies and different brands do different things, but I think it's pretty safe to say that a cycle helmet is designed that if you have an accident and fall off and bang your head, the way it works is it almost destroys itself to protect your
Well,
head. So it will absorb the shock, and it's only designed to do that once.
Richard, who is a lot more medically and scientifically minded than I am, is probably really best placed to just give a quick overview, actually.
So that's pressure, isn't it? Right. Okay.
Go for it, dude.
But we did look at. I was interested in this subject actually. So a few years ago, actually, we wrote a blog on it, which I might actually republish so it gets to the top of the feed. It's not stuck at the bottom of the feed. And it is quite remarkable. I must admit, I've not seen. I'd be interested to see the evidence that supports the notion of not wearing a helmet, because I do find the evidence in support of wearing one quite overwhelming. You have two fundamental kinds of damage that you can do. You can have a sort of a traumatic brain injury, which is very much a sort of a concussive sort of impact force. And then you got this really unpleasant thing called diffuse axonal injury, which is actually the shearing forces that occur inside your brain, where the sort of the blood vessels, or the capillaries, basically shear off, and you end up with this almost like consistent, very bad bleeding. These two things together are like really bad. I mean, that's why they have systems like MIPS and things like that, which sort of deal with the sort of the shearing force stuff. But your one of the things about your brain, it does not regenerate by and large. So if you damage the cells in your brain, they don't come back. They kind of stay permanently damaged. And so it's not just about bleeding. I mean, you are affecting personality, you're affecting cognitive behavior, you're affecting memory, you're affecting motor skills, you're affecting an extraordinary range of things. And one of the people I know from another business is a leading neuroscientist, neurological consultant, and radiologist. And her view is very simple. You don't wear a helmet, you're a bit mad. And so when you actually look at the science of the brain is such this delicate thing, and it is, if damage to that can be long lasting. As I say, I'll probably sort of republish this blog so people can go on the website and have a look at it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to read it,
I
actually.
learn a lot,
Mm.
and I'm with Paul. I don't go out without a helmet now.
No, I've been super lucky, touch wood, to not have anything nasty. But I've got quite a few friends that have had really nasty accidents. I've got a good mate of mine who's a very good BMX rider. He had a nasty BMX fall and had a full face BMX helmet on. That saved his life unquestionably. Even Dan, my mate Danny fell off and he did his collarbone, but did his head at the same time. Again, helmet was in a proper way, but his head was fine. So it just doesn't make any sense to me not to wear one. And I think actually the other thing is it's not like you can't go out and buy really cool looking bike helmets, because there's some fantastic designs out there and stuff. So whether you want the edgy mountain bike look, or whether you want a really nice racy road bike look, there's loads of they're not. It's not like you're sticking a pudding bowl on your head like they used to be. there's no
Yeah.
excuse for it at
No,
all.
agreed. Absolutely agreed.
So yeah, so there was a good excuse to kind of let the guys know about your YouTube channel, which has got loads of really cool. It's a lot about ordering stuff or buying stuff from you to make sure that people do it right and order the right thing and size the right thing. So that's quite
Yeah, and it is very
quite cool.
new, so there's
And then
not a lot on there at the moment, but and time will obviously help. But yeah, as I say, please subscribe, and you've got and we will get
yeah,
lots and lots of stuff up.
Not if you keep going on holiday.
I had 3 days off.
he only had a day.
No, actually, no, Peter,
First holiday in
you're
about
actually
since
right.
I've
I
known
only
you.
had a day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have a
Anyway,
weekend.
we're still not really talking about it, so it's fine.
Okay. So the last 10 minutes, and in the background, apologies for anyone listening, my dogs are going absolutely berserk because Mrs. Petrobed's just come home from
Hello,
work.
Miss Petrol.
Is she's not home yet?
Okay.
She's just parking the car. Is very
Yes.
exciting. Next weekend, I'm coming up to Edinburgh, and we have a fairly full-on couple of days. We've
doing
got
that?
so much we
you
need
doing?
to get done.
What we're doing?
Yeah.
Do you not know?
Yeah.
What you do because it's in your diary
We
because
could
you're
be
up.
building a
It is
bike.
actually in my diary. He did actually say, "Yeah."
Are you up as well? Oh, cool. So
We're
we're
having a
having
beer.
we're
It's
having a
quite
beer as well.
scary because I'll be allowed to talk to customs again on Saturday. So that's fine.
Oh yeah, cool. So it's super exciting because I think we mentioned it on the last podcast. Actually, finally we've got all the bits to build the Ultra XR4. Richard's super happy because he's got all the bits to build his bike as well, which must be super exciting. So we're going to be building the Ultra XR4 finally, and then we're going to some of the plans we've got are very weather dependent. So if the weather's going to be kind to us, we're going to do our first ride of the Ultra XR4. And we've got some very cool plans. We don't want to give too many spoilers out, but we're going to get the bike out on the road, and finally I'm going to get to feel. There's so many things that I can't wait to talk about on that bike. The what it's like to ride a countervail bike, what it's like to ride a tubeless tire bike, what the most expensive drivetrain you can buy is like. All of these things is very, very exciting. I'm going to pick up my rail because I haven't seen it yet. I nearly saw it too. I was looking in through the windows, but you've got those security blinds on, so I couldn't see anything when I was up outside the shop last week. So I get to see the rail, which is super exciting. I'm bringing Tracy's bike up, and we're going to fit a dropper post. That's to remind you if you've got the dropper post.
It's done.
He really is.
Yeah. Because I've just realised I don't know whether I've reminded you to have you got a dropper post that will fit Tracy's bike.
It will be sorted.
Maybe. As long as it's not coming from from Italy, we'll be fine. What day is it? So it's October now. So if I came back up again in July,
brave,
maybe
we could fit the brave.
We're going to do a first ride of the rail, which is super exciting. And we might also start to have a chat about some modifications or upgrades to your bike, because Project Ruby, you're going to have some upgrades to yours and maybe some to mine as well. And then we've got loads of other things as well. So there's we've got a proper busy few days. Dan is coming up again to help film and drink beer and eat pizza. I've got a cool van from Hendy that I'm going to be driving up, and Paul's going to take the mickey out of. We've got some very cool vans cool van while we're up there, but we won't say too much. So we've got a bit of a van review going on. But it's all I need to say is think if we're going to do a first ride of an e-bike, what kind of van might we be using?
Answers on a postcard.
Answers on a postcard. So it's super exciting. I can't, as I said, when I was outside the shop last week, I was so gutted not to be able to say hello and give you a big man hug. But next week we'll be able to say. And Rosie's going to be there as well.
Rosie is going to be there. Yes. Well, she's going to be there for a little bit because she's actually back to work on Monday. So she'll be
Monday.
yeah, you'll get to
Well,
see
I
her.
get to see her.
Absolutely. And
Good. Okay,
Dan,
that's good.
dependent on
That's
how
good.
it works out, Dan actually may get to ride Rosie's rail.
Oh,
There we go.
oh,
Yes.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's short as well. I see. It's all exciting, and then the plan is we're gonna have a run of episodes running up to Christmas. I'm just kind of working out the kind of schedule and when things are going to drop. But the first video that goes up in season 2 of Cycle Sunday will be the one that we've all been waiting 6.5 months for, or even longer than that, and that is building the bike. I can't wait to watch your guys put that bike together. Have you found the other wheel
You know
for it
what?
yet?
Just leave me alone. What we're gonna do, right? Before we build it, we will do a full, and I mean a full component breakdown shot on the floor in 16:9, and every component is going to
Okay.
go on the floor.
Just to show
Indeed.
how many
If you're going
components
to do
there
this
are.
up to Christmas, you're going to have a Christmas
Okay.
special. You know, like Downton Abbey
Yeah.
did one, and Gavin and Stacey. You're probably more Morecambe and Wise, but it is.
Well, Laurel and Hardy.
I wouldn't possibly comment, but I think you're going to do a Christmas special. Is that
I
possible?
think
There
a
we
Christmas special is
We'll
very
just do that
possible.
at the
Yes.
pub.
Yeah.
Right. That would be good.
Yeah. This is true, actually. Yeah. Cool. Anyway, it's getting towards the end of our allotted time. It's been brilliant chat about clothing, and I'm now off to go and have a look at your website and have a look at all your cool clothes because they're very.
No,
cool.
we're really pleased. We're really pleased,
Um,
and it is lovely stuff. It's just to reiterate,
Yeah.
this is, and this is not bad mouthing anybody else, but a lot of a lot of bike shops fall into the trap of just having their name on relatively entry level product. When you look at our clothing, you look at the pricing on it, and you go, "Oh, flipping out, that's high end." The reason being is it's high end clothing. It's really nice to wear. Yep.
Yeah. Which pretty much typifies your approach to cycling, which is why I
that's
love
nice to
working
say.
with you so much.
Oh,
Basically. Yeah.
oh,
There you go.
We're all
He
emotional.
has gone a bit quiet. Then. Listen, getting him to go quiet. That's a great achievement.
Well, I think it's about time you went home and got some food, and I will see
will.
you next
Can't
week.
wait.
Now, what we might do with the Cycle Sunday podcast next week is it may well be that we can record it
We can.
live
It can
together.
happen. Yes.
That would be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, we could have
Yep.
the three of us and Dan and Rosie
can.
all on the same
Well, I
podcast.
can get up to 4 mics on this bad boy. Yeah.
4. That'll do.
Perfect.
Awesome.
And Richard's up.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. We can share a mic.
There's
So that
even,
makes
there's
that's
even a threat from Mrs. Bowker that she might actually come up next week. But I think that is only
Wow, yeah, that'd be
a
great.
slight threat. But who knows? That could be a full deck.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do, you two could do a duet.
Awesome.
Right.
On that note.
Yes. I'll tell you about my evening singing by the piano last week with Dame or Baroness Shami Chakrabarti.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Amazing who you meet when you come to Scotland.
Wow.
Anyway, on that bombshell.
Yes.
Does she play I didn't know. Does she play the piano?
She doesn't play the piano, and she really doesn't sing either. She was just, yeah.
There you go.
Anyway,
gin fueled.
Before I say anything that I shouldn't do,
Yes.
let's move on. It's been a pleasure as always, gentlemen.
Yes.
Guys, I hope you've enjoyed that one. As I said, we are getting noticed 11th out of the top 20 cycling podcasts that you should listen to.
Yeah.
How awesome's that? We just need to get it to number 1.
Yes.
So make sure you like, share, subscribe, give it a rating, all the things that we can do to push out this podcast to as many people as possible. But for now,
please.
I've been Pete Greaves.
I've been Paul Bowker.
Hey! Ride safe, everyone.
Right safe.